One last battle to hold the line against the night.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
Hold the line. No one gets through, no matter what.
Sir, what are your orders?
There's only one order, Lieutenant. Behold.
Incoming transmission.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
On Mojo 50 Radio. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the new Millennial Conservative Resistance does indeed begin right here, right now, with you. You are listening to, and hopefully watching, the HoloNet on the mighty Mojo 50. Today is Saturday, the 17th of August in the year of our Lord 2019. And, oh, for the love of... It's gonna go down in Portland again, isn't it? It's gonna go down in Portland again, isn't it? I mean, that's all you're seeing all over the news feeds. It's all on Drudge. It's all on Breitbart. It's all on The Blaze, Fox News. Portland, 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 Portland. Haven't we figured out that Portland right now is the battle zone? It is the Thunderdome right now between Antifa and between the right in general. And I'm not just talking about, you know, your legitimate right-hand groups, you know, your legitimate political organizations and patriotic groups. They also have, you know, all the racist holes out there too. So watch the news feeds. Everybody in Portland, watch your friggin' six. For the love of God, watch your six. Or did you forget a couple of weeks ago how Andy Ngo got the absolute crap kicked out of him? I mean, this guy looked like he got smashed in the face. It was bad. Apparently, they threw a milkshake that had like cement in it. I don't know what the exact details were. I heard a couple of different stories there. He was badly injured, had a bleed on the brain. People, watch your six. Go out there, wave the flag. You know, I support and love that you're out there protesting and expressing yourselves and expressing your First Amendment rights. Do it. Stand tall, stand proud for your country. Watch your six, okay? No violence, no bodies. We don't want anybody blooded up here. Stand tall, all right? And watch yourselves. So, we're going to jump right into it with the news. President Trump making news this week. Throw it up on the big screen here. We're going to go to some highlights from the good old Guardian, the Graniad, as they like to call it, back in the UK there, where the Guardian is native to. But they put together a really nice compilation of President Trump's recent appearance, his recent rally appearance. So we're going to check that out right now. This is why it's important to hire a producer. All right, let's see if this works. Here we go.
Is there anything better than a Trump rally? I know you like me, and this room is a love fest, I know that. But you have no choice but to vote for me, because your 401ks, down the tubes, everything's going to be down the tubes. So whether you love me or hate me, you got to vote for me. The radical Democrats are trying to tear America apart. They view everybody as fascist and Nazis. They use the term Nazi. This was a term you couldn't even use it. Now they use it like on a regular basis. A Nazi. He's a Nazi. Think of that. He's a Nazi. But while the Democrats rage and resist, that guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. And remember when they used to say that the Hillary Clinton campaign is highly sophisticated? Highly sophisticated. She did a lot of bad things, folks. 33,000 emails deleted after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. 33,000. I will tell you this. We now have a great Attorney General. And you've been reading about this a lot lately. We are working very hard to make sure we keep guns out of the hands of insane people and those who are mentally sick and shouldn't have guns. But people have to remember, however, that there is a mental illness problem that has to be dealt with. It's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person holding the gun. Virtually every top Democrat also now supports late-term abortion, ripping babies straight from the mother's womb, right up until the moment of birth. The doctor talks to the mother. The baby is now born, wrapped, as he said. And then they decide whether or not to execute the baby. Who would believe that?
Governor Northam.
That is why I've asked Congress to prohibit extreme late-term abortion, because Republicans believe that every child is a sacred gift of God.
All right, now there's a whole lot to unpack. This was a great rally for President Trump. Whole lot to unpack. Number one, the overweight guy. I can't really talk. I'm getting kind of fat myself. The overweight guy actually wound up being a Trump supporter who said that the president, he was very complimentary of the president. I don't have the exact quote from him in front of me. Let me see. New Hampshire fat guy. I'm actually searching New Hampshire fat guy, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pop right up because they've been talking about this all. Yeah, he bullied a man that's overweight, fat shamed one of his own supporters who adored him. So let's see, your supporter who Trump mocked said, everything's good. I love the guy. So yeah, President Trump had a case of mistaken identity there. Thought this overweight gentleman was mocking him. It turned out this guy was actually a Trump supporter. So a little bit of rhetorical friendly fire there. Bringing it back, President Trump saying you have no choice but to vote for me. Holy smokes! This has got to be the peak Trump election pitch. You have no choice. Oh man! So I'm having a good time with this. By the way, Daily Beast says. I think he thought I was a part of it, but I wasn't. I was the good part of it. The gentleman Frank Dawson told Fox News, and that's from the Daily Beast. So, yeah, a little bit of mistaken identity there, but, you know, I want to kind of bring it back real fast. President Trump brought up a lot of things. He brought up extreme late-term abortion that he's trying to get handled through Congress. He brought up Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails. He hit on a lot of points there. And he also hit on his potentially looking at red flag laws, saying, you know, we need to take steps to keep guns out of the hands of insane people. I addressed this in our last episode. Go back and watch it if you want. I'll drop a link in the description about red flag on the play. But he hits on a really solid point, which this is kind of President Trump's MO. It's like he says a couple things that have you doing a slow shake of your head, and then you hear him say something that's actually very bright and very cogent, which is at the end of the day, it's the person who's pulling the trigger, not the gun itself, that is the danger. So, you know, I would say this was a good move for President Trump. I say this probably restored a lot of people's belief in him following the somewhat disastrous announcements that he was looking into red flag laws. But here's what you can do, what I can do, what we can do together in order to help. Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com. Call 1-877-367-7524. Keep your own phone number, bring your own phone, or buy a new one. Patriot Mobile is America's only conservative cell phone company. They have reliable nationwide service, no hidden fees, and they donate a portion of their profits to organizations fighting for the First and Second Amendment rights, family values, small government, and pro-life. Right now, you can actually get a Moto Z3 Play with $5 a month, limited time, only using promo code 5, F-I-V-E, when you call 1-877-367-7524 or visit patriotmobile.com. You use your cell phone every day. Patriot Mobile provides you with a unique opportunity to use your cell phone to make a change. other than, just tweeting or something like that. Big Mobile supports values you don't believe in, like Planned Parenthood, abortion, open borders, liberal candidates. The switch to Patriot Mobile supports your values. So please, go on patriotmobile.com, use promo code 5, F-I-V-E, and you can get a Moto Z3 Play, which is an awesome new phone, for $5 a month, limited time only, and that's 1-877-367-7524. Great sponsors and partners with Mojo 50, or patriotmobile.com. Check them out, okay? So now, back to President Trump. President Trump, in another fantastic move, just 2 hours ago, this came in on Fox News. President Trump is now threatening to designate Antifa a terrorist organization ahead of the expected Portland clashes. By the way, on my other screen here, I actually have live stream from NBC coming in and this is their headline. Ready? This is their headline. Far-right extremist groups clash in Portland, Oregon. That's the damn headline on NBC. NBC News should be ashamed of themselves right now. Their headline is far-right, extremist groups clash in Portland, Oregon. That is a literary dodge, because by saying far-right, and extremist groups, replaces the word and. So remember, this means far-right and extremist groups clash in Oregon. But that's not how your average American's going to read this. Okay, hang on. I'm going to rotate it. So I don't have this pulled up on my one computer right now. No, I can't do that. Let me see if I can do it without borking everything up.
And guys, we've been keeping you updated.
Sorry, that's Hong Kong protests. So let me see here. YouTube.com, NBC. Okay, I have to show this to you, as I have it over here on the other screen that I don't have loaded.
Let's kind of talk about season 4 and sort of everything.
No. NBC News. This is pissing me off. Far right, extremist groups clash in Portland, Oregon. Now, how is your typical person who maybe didn't do too well in high school English, how are they going to read this? They're going to read it as, oh my god, it's far-right extremist groups! They're clashing in Portland, Oregon! No, it's far-right and extremist groups. So in other words, far-right groups are out there. I have no doubt. Far-right isn't necessarily a bad word. Far-right is not a pejorative term. It just means somebody who is very conservative or very libertarian. That is a far-right group. I have been accused of being far-right, somewhat accurately. Compared to some of my family members, I'm quite far-right. But it's not pejorative by itself. But far-right extremist group, now we're thinking of, I don't know, that's the thing, is they would think of the Proud Boys. I don't think of the Proud Boys as necessarily a bad group, but the leftists obviously would. What they think of as a far-right extremist group, they think like Richard Spencer. And Richard Spencer is actually further to the left, but he's also a white nationalist. So the way that this reads, though, is very, very deceptive, because your average person is going to say, oh my god, far-right extremist groups are clashing in Portland. No, far-right and extremist groups. The extremist group is Antifa. That's the extremist group. That's the far-right, extremist groups clash in Portland, Oregon. That's who the far-right groups are clashing with. The extremist Antifa people who are trying to make trouble in Portland, Oregon, as they have many, many times in the past. So we go back to that story. Trump threatens to designate Antifa a terrorist organization ahead of expected Portland clashes. Shall not take the Lord's name in vain. Damn, I hope he does. Damn, I hope he does. It's been a long time coming. Antifa should have been designated as a terrorist organization in the Obama days, folks. I mean, this should have been done 10 years ago. President Trump said major consideration is being given by his administration to designating the far-left Antifa movement a terrorist organization as the city of Portland, Oregon prepares for dueling protests between right-wing demonstrators and Antifa on Saturday. Quote, major consideration is being given to naming Antifa an organization of terror, the president tweeted. Portland is being watched very closely. Hopefully the mayor will be able to properly do his job. In his tweet, the president did not mention that the expected far-right groups that are expected to protest, like Proud Boys Group, the White Nationalist American Guard, and the Three Percenters. You notice how these groups are all named like side by side, like they're the same, right? Three Percenters are not the same as White Nationalists, are not the same as Proud Boys, but they're all lumped in together, even by Fox. Come on, guys! You don't lump these groups together. Hate group watchdogs say the Daily Stormers, a neo-Nazi group, are also expected. But how do you have Proud Boys, the White Nationalist American Guard, and Three Percenters in the same damn breath? Come on now! More than 24 local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and the Federal Protective Service, are in Portland to help monitor the protests. Ahead of the rally, Democratic Mayor Ted Wheeler, loser, said on Friday on Fox News, outnumbered overtime. He's confident from a law enforcement perspective, we're going to have all the tools and resources and personnel that we need. We support people's right to demonstrate, Wheeler said, but we don't care about who you or your politics are. If you engage in violence in the city, you'll be held accountable. Hang on! Hold up. This is Portland, Oregon, right? Where the police did all to prevent Andy Ngo from getting the ever-loving beat out of him. They did nothing! They told him to turn around and walk back through the crowd that was beating him in order to get medical attention. If you engage in violence in this city, you will be held accountable. By God Almighty, because it sure ain't gonna be from your ass. Sorry, I didn't catch that one in time. The self-described anti-fascists have vowed to confront the rally while leaders from the far right urge their followers to turn out in large numbers to protest the arrest of 6 members of right-wing groups in the run-up to the event. Members of Antifa often cover their faces with masks because they're cowards, making it harder to identify them. That wasn't in the Fox News article. That was me. You cover your face with a mask because you're a coward. And what's done in the dark will be brought to the light, so saith the Lord. Patriot Prayers, Joey Gibson, who's not involved in this weekend's event but organized similar rallies in 2017 and 2018 that erupted in clashes, surrendered Friday on an arrest warrant for felony rioting. He was at a confrontation that broke out on May 1st outside a bar where members of the Antifa movement had gathered after a May Day demonstration. In a video he live-streamed on Facebook, Gibson accused the police of playing politics by arresting him, but not the masked demonstrators who beat up conservative blogger Andy Ngo at a June 29th rally that drew national attention to this small liberal city. Quote, we receive criticism no matter what. It's either too much or not enough. You arrested this group and not... it looks like there's a cutoff here. That's weird. Nice job, Fox. Anyway, authorities asked residents not to call 911 unless it's a life-threatening emergency and to stay away from the heart of downtown. You know why stuff like this doesn't happen in Phoenix? Do you know why? Number one, it's hot as balls. It is hot out here. I mean,
holy shit, dude.
I mean, it's just hot. You come out here and you die. You just drop dead. By the way, still monitoring the situation. I have it on 2 screens here on my right, just in case there's any developments. We'll throw to that immediately. But it's too hot. We've had a couple of small scuffles here in Arizona, and most of them occur at night, which is interesting because the temperatures are a little bit lower. Like we had a rally, I think, in Phoenix, around about the light rail regarding the detention centers. This was a relatively small affair. Phoenix police got called out, arrested like half a dozen people, called it good. But you don't see these great big marches like you have in Portland, Oregon, for 2 reasons. Number one, as I said, it's just too hot. I mean, it's too hot. The other part is they haven't got the testicular fortitude to do it here in Phoenix. You know why? overwhelmingly, predominantly conservative state, first and foremost. And following that, police who give nary a single fornication and have no negative predilection toward enforcing the law because they're not being muzzled by the city they're in, like we've seen in Portland, like we've seen in Seattle, like we've seen in California. When the police are able to do their jobs and the public support them and the elected leaders support them, then you have peace in your city. And then you don't have to call in 10 different law enforcement agencies because something like this gets out of hand. All right. So, before we go on break, did want to talk to you a little bit about our good friends, our good buddies who give us KBMD. Actually, no, yeah, we'll do that later. We're going to talk about combat flip-flops. Combat flip-flops! Need the flopperators. You gotta get the flopperators. Anyway, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having a fun show today because I'm recording it at a different time and I'm way more energetic right now. So if you like it, let me know. You gotta get your flopperators from Combat Flip-Flops. All right, go on combatflipflops.com. Use promo code HOLLOW25, HOLLOW25. Get your 25% off combatflipflops.com. And every dollar you spend there goes toward educating women in post-war Afghanistan, making sure they get the opportunity to have a good life and to raise their families in peace. This is waging the peace. This is the battle for peace. Use Combat Flip-Flops. They build communities, they fund women's education, they create peaceful, forward-thinking opportunities for self-determined entrepreneurs affected by conflict. Their willingness to take bold risks, bold community connections, and create distinct military-inspired designs communicate business, not bullets, flipping the view on how wars are won. Through persistence, respect, and creativity, they empower the mindful consumer to buy products that encourage peace through trade. They are a team with a passion for making just really, really cool. Really cool. Thank you. Damn censor button. In dangerous places. Join the unarmed forces. Be the change you want to see in the world. CombatFlipFlops.com. Promo code HOLLOW25, HOLLOW25. To get your 25% off. Go on there, pick up some flip-flops. It supports the HoloNet. It supports Mojo 50. It supports a great veteran-led business at combatflipflops.com. And you can be a great help to your fellow man in a war-torn area. We're keeping an eye on the developing story in Portland, Oregon, as far-right and Antifa extremists are predicted to clash in that city at some time today. We are keeping a close watch on that. You're listening to, hopefully watching, the HoloNet on the Mighty Mojo 50. Follow us on Twitter at the HoloNet, on the MeWe's, on the BitChutes, on the YouTubes, on Facebook at facebook.com/HoloNet. Actually, /the HoloNet. And we would love for you to follow us there, please. Take a quick break, and we shall return with more fun here on the HoloNet on the Mighty Mojo 50.
Just give that rhythm everything you got.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west. Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
On Mojo 50 Radio, the millennial conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Yes, we're back. You're listening to the HoloNet and hopefully watching it too on the mighty Mojo 50. In the inset screen right now, we have the continuing YouTube live coverage from NBC in Portland of the Antifa and far-right protesters clashing there. So far, we haven't seen very much clashing. We've seen a lot of kind of running around randomly in circles and running through people's yards and through private property and probably hoot and holler and doing an awful lot of yelling here. But I'm not seeing anything really that would indicate to me any kind of prior organization of this other than people running around acting like idiots. But hey, what do you expect from Antifa? Moving right along. The Guardian also reports Portland's liberal utopia became the center of the right-wing war in the U.S. God, don't you love the slant on this crap? Look at this. I hate the left and racism. Yeah, good. Got a camera on to face behind you for when people are chasing you. That's actually rather clever. Saturday, we'll see the latest in a long line of far-right gatherings that have plagued the city over the last few years as groups, including the Proud Boys, descend on the area. During the Obama years, Portland was widely seen as a redoubt of crunchy, progressive. Crunchy, does that mean like when you don't wash your clothes for a really, really long time, so they're going to go because of, unknown human bodily fluids being on there? crunchy progressive West Coast liberalism, much of the world saw the city through the lens of Portlandia, a TV sketch show that lampooned hipsters, cyclists, and fussy diners. The city was viewed as a liberal cultural center of the U.S., and as a sharp contrast with more traditional conservative parts of the country, its laid-back image was frequently satirized, not the least by comedian Fred Armisen, who said it's where young people go to retire. Portlandia was more of a caricature than a portrait, and locals noted what it left out: a rapid gentrification and displacement, increasing homelessness, the contentious policing of the Portland Police Bureau, and the long racist history of the Pacific Northwest that made Portland the whitest major city in America. Salt Lake! Sorry. Had something caught in my throat there. Might have been some Jell-O. The former NBA player Greg Ogden said his time playing in Portland, it isn't a great city to live in if you're a young African-American male with a lot of money. Damn. Even as Portlandia's run was ending, a darker picture of the city was being painted, often by outsiders. I'm not going to read through this whole schlock. Thank you, The Guardian, for again painting conservatives as the bad guys. Never mind Occupy Wall Street, which came before, which made a whole bunch of hell in Portland. And now Antifa. Yeah, guys, your slant is showing. You might want to zip your fly. So, going to USA Today on the Stream of Consciousness broadcast here, brought to you by the Mighty Mojo 50. Trump weighs in as Portland awaits protesters from the far-right rally, far-left Antifa forces. Okay, USA Today, slow clap, guys. You actually bullseyed the headline a hell of a lot better than NBC did. Okay, I'm going to flip to the NBC cam real fast because this is cool looking. Look, they're riding on a they think there's some kind of... where is it? Oh, it just passed. Come on, pan back to it. These guys are like clinging to the side of an SUV like there's some half-ass Secret Service agents. It was actually kind of interesting to watch. I'd be surprised if these guys weren't actually Secret Service agents. But look at it. No, they're not going to go back to it. Damn. Can you get to it? Okay, right there. In the lower right hand. Those actually might be cops, though. Yeah, those actually might be cops holding onto the side of an SUV. Are they? They're this vehicle turning up the avenue here. They don't look like cops. Those look like a bunch of normal people just clinging to the side of an SUV. Okay, I'll flip back to that now and again. Sorry. Had kind of a shiny moment. Saw something there. As Portland braced Saturday for possible violent clashes between far-right and far-left activists, you see, this is actually kind of even-handed. I gotta respect the author here. President Donald Trump threw a spotlight on the very tense confrontation by tweeting the city is, quote, being watched very closely, and he hopes the mayor will do his job. Yeah, that seems to be the storyline here. But I did want to get to some interesting news, some fun news, too. Yeah, I don't want this to just be all about the Portland protests, even though that's kind of the timely, newsy thing to do. And seeing as I'm covering the weekends, so from Mojo, you wouldn't hear about this until Monday. Unless somebody else pulls a live shot here. But I just wanted to make sure that we address this before we get into Monday, because there's going to be a lot of people coming in after the fact and trying to go back in and diagnose it. And I thought maybe it'd be fun to actually sit here with you in close to real time, because this is going to air probably about 2 hours later. But in some fun news, a strange cigar-shaped object was seen during a meteor shower over Wyoming and stunned experts. A bizarre object was seen over Wyoming during a meteor shower has left experts baffled, with no one able to conclusively say what it is. The Perseid meteor shower, was seen across the globe August 12th and 13th, with sky enthusiasts able to see 80 shooting stars every hour. Here's the image. But it was another mysterious sight that grabbed the attention of residents of Jackson's Hole in the U.S. state of Wyoming. Who's Jackson? In footage sent to local news site Buckrail News. Can't make that up. The object can be seen slowly moving over the city in the early hours of Monday morning. As it gets closer to the edge of the screen, the true oval shape becomes clearer. The mysterious light appeared to be cigar-shaped as it A cigar-shaped object traveled over Jackson's Hole. The object appears to flash seconds before it disappears. The woman caught the sighting told Buckrail she couldn't find any records of flights at the area, and the flash that ended added further mystery to the object. It would totally be a plane in my mind if it weren't for the weird, bright flash at the end. Buckrail asked several experts what they thought it was. Samuel Singer, former executive director of Wyoming Stargazing, guessed it could be a drone, and a local photographer agreed. So now let's go to that video. Hang on, I'm going to mute this out so it doesn't blow out all of our eardrums. So let's click to play. Flipping ads. Come on, man. All right, well, that ad's rolling up. Yeah, so UFOs over Wyoming. Kind of hapless-looking protesters in Portland. Hell of a news day, huh? Okay, here we go. Make that a little bit bigger for you. Does that look like a drone to you? That does not look like a drone. That does look like a big lady. But yeah, that didn't look like a drone to me. So, in Wyoming, we have cigar-shaped objects flashing and flying over Jackson's Hole. Still trying to figure out who Jackson is. In other news, according to The Age, which is a Victoria, Australia paper, pro-Hong Kong rally in Melbourne turns violent as rival protesters clash. It looks like the violence and the protests in Hong Kong, China, the special autonomous region in China, are now spilling over to Melbourne, Australia. A pro-Hong Kong rally in Melbourne's CBD turned violent on Friday evening as protesters clashed with nationalist Chinese demonstrators. The rally began at 7 p.m. outside the State Library on Swanston Street as numbers swelled to more than 1,000 people, at least half of whom appeared to be Chinese pro-China protesters. Demonstration began with an acknowledgement of the Wurundjeri ancestral owners, but before the pro-Hong Kong organizer could get through the first line, a cheer broke out at the perimeter and a Chinese flag was held above the crowd. This set off a series of scuffles, mostly pushing and shoving at the southern side of the library lawn. Amongst the chaos, an ABC cameraman was pushed by a man who appeared to attack his gear. A woman, Cami, 30, was violently shoved by a pro-Chinese demonstrator who subsequently had his hair pulled by protesters on the other side and was forced back into his group. Cami, who was stunned but otherwise unhurt, said she was protesting in solidarity for the people of her home city. Quote, "I'm from Hong Kong. It started because of the extradition bill, but now we don't have democracy. We have come to save our city," she said. Police appeared to be caught unaware by the scale of the protest and only intervened when pro-Chinese demonstrators surged toward the pro-Hong Kong side. By this time, scuffles had been breaking out for about 40 minutes. The pro-Hong Kong protesters returned to the State Library on Saturday morning, pledged to carry out a peaceful demonstration. Yeah, because that looks peaceful. So, this is our world today. We're monitoring protests and clashes that could break out in Portland, Oregon. We have protests and clashes and violent responses from Chinese police forces in Hong Kong that are now spilling over into Australia. Ladies and gents, we are in a state of global unrest now. This is not just local. This is not just the United States. This is of global proportions. We have got massive demonstrations, serious demonstrations happening in multiple cities around the globe, all at the same time. There's just discontent and unrest in the air. It's really quite crazy. I mean, this is the power and the risk of such an interconnected society as we are, that events in Hong Kong can touch off a violent altercation in Melbourne, Australia, which some of you don't know your geography very well, so I'm going to pull this up. Let's map this sucker, okay? Courtesy Google Maps, this is Melbourne, Australia. It is in the bottom right-hand corner of Australia, which is the Victoria province. All right? You literally have to cross all of Australia, the Arafura and Banda Seas to Indonesia, all of Indonesia, and then the South China Sea to reach Hong Kong. It is several thousand miles away. This is insane. So directions from Hong Kong. Let's just see what the distance is here. It is 11 hours and 40 minutes by flight, by connecting flight, or 9 hours by nonstop from Hong Kong to Melbourne. It's a little far. Okay? That is the difference we're talking about, kids. And it caused a riot. This is the interconnectedness. This is a world in data overload. So speaking of things that can get overloaded, how's your colon feeling? So I know there are some days where I just feel like I am completely and utterly full of and I'm not talking about my political opinions or anything like that. I mean, I just literally got to go. You need to check out, if you're like me, Atrantil, lovemytummy.com. It helps you with bloating, abdominal discomfort, body inflammation, and get your daily polyphenols with Atrantil. That's Atrantil. Use special offer, promo code MOJO at checkout. You get 3 bottles of Atrantil for only $99. That's lovemytummy.com/mojo, lovemytummy.com/mojo. And make sure to check that out. Polyphenols are needed by your body to regulate your gut. So if you got the bubble guts, if you got, the thunder from down under, anything like that, check out Atrantil, lovemytummy.com. Get it today. It's made from horse chestnut, quebracho extract, and peppermint leaf. That's pretty wild. By the way, it's also been checked out by the NSF, the National Science Foundation, and it is safe for sports use. So if you want to help regulate your body a little bit, get more energy, you can do it that way as well. And it also works amazingly with Dr. Ken Brown, KBMD. He's a butt man. Dr. Ken Brown's CBD oil. And we'll talk about CBD oil in a little bit, but I just wanted to mention the two work well together if you're going to be doing Ken Brown's CBD oil. So, back to the news. Let's check in on NBC, see what they're up to. Standing on overpasses. Yeah, those actually were cops riding on the side rails of the white SUV there. Those were definitely police. Hashtag can confirm. But far-right and extremist groups clash in Portland, Oregon. Haven't seen any clashing yet. I'm very glad of that. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But so far, this is looking like a whole lot of nothing. I've just seen like Antifa people running around between buildings and blocking streets and such. But yeah, nothing else there so far. We'll stay tuned and keep you apprised. Now, Hong Kong unrest continues as civilians hold public rally. We have this from ABC. We'll just go to a brief clip from that, just so you can see what that was looking like in Hong Kong. Here we go. Help if I unmuted it, huh? Just a little bit. Hey, I'm not going to do that anyway. But yeah, so the unrest in Hong Kong continues. Now, to break down the Hong Kong story, we have to look at this a little bit historically. Hong Kong, for a couple hundred years, was a British colony in China. If you go back to the British Great Game in Asia, where they were really leaning hard on the Qing dynasty, that's the Qing dynasty, the last ruling emperors of China to control the tea trade, to control the opiate trade, which was by far the most important thing. The Chinese knew that their people were getting whacked out on opiates, and it was causing, disastrous public health consequences and societal consequences. They wanted to stop. The British at the time thought the opiate trade was great. They were making money hands over fist. They wanted to keep it going. So they launched a series of conflicts called the Opium Wars in China, and in exerting their colonial power. It was one of the darker chapters in the history of the UK. They continued to press on China, and Hong Kong was the center of that pressure. Hong Kong was a Chinese port city that had been taken over and built up by the British as their regional capital. So their power projection, the power projection of Britain historically came from Hong Kong. The power projection of Portugal came from Macau, which is a similar semi-autonomous region in China. And the other countries, United States, Russia, we all had our embassies and such in Peking, and that goes to the Boxer Rebellion several years later, but we can get into that at another time. But I wanted to kind of give you a background of who Hong Kong is as a city, where it has simultaneous British and Chinese heritage, where it's a completely different animal from mainland China from a cultural perspective, because it does have the pro-liberty, pro-democratic views. Just last week, protesters were waving the American flag through Hong Kong. Let's see, Hong Kong American flag. Yeah, Hong Kong protesters were holding the American flag and singing the national anthem, according to Fox News this last week. I want to see really how well they sing it. I'm not sure how good it's going to be, but let's see what this is like. This is from Fox Business.
Yesterday, protesters waving American flags. And as you heard at the top of the show, those protesters, some of them, those there, they were singing America's national anthem. Joining us now is Marion Smith with the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. The waving of flags, the singing of our anthem. What does that tell you?
Well, I think the Hong Kong protesters are drawing a distinction that is really at the core of this crisis. And that is, there are two systems here that are contradictory. One is the totalitarian system of the People's Republic of China, where more than 1 billion people are under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party, and where there is no freedom, and where if you were to wave an American flag and sing our national anthem, you would be detained or worse. On the other hand is the United States and our flag and the freedoms that it represents, and Hong Kong people have enjoyed those freedoms for generations and have never been ruled by the Communist Party, and they're saying they don't want to be ruled by the Communist Party now, and that's the essence of the crisis here.
What they want, what the demonstrators want, is the resignation of Carrie Lam, Hong Kong's chief executive, and her replacement to be freely elected, with candidates not chosen by Beijing. That's what they want. That's why they're flying the American flag. You think that, I mean, what are the odds that they actually get that?
Well, they have a list of 5 or 6 demands. One is the resignation of the chief executive, Carrie Lam. The other is the withdrawal of the extradition bill, which really was the catalyst for this protest movement this year, in which some 20% of the population of Hong Kong has taken to the streets. That is no insignificant fringe group that is protesting. That really does represent a significant portion, if not the majority, of the Hong Kong people. Support for the protesters is even higher than 20%, of course. But they're also calling for the release of the political prisoners, as they're calling them now, who have been arrested as part of this protest movement, which overwhelmingly has been peaceful on the protesters' part. But we have seen beatings by the police. We have seen the blinding of at least one person due to short-range shooting of rubber bullets and beanbags.
Marion, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I'm really short on time. Let's see what develops today after the Hong Kong authorities try to buy the demonstrators off. Marion Smith, thanks for joining us.
So that Fox News segment there is on Fox News Business, and they put that out on YouTube. Just to give you a little bit of background. Hong Kong, the former British colony, former British colonial possession, and now semi-autonomous division of China, what the Chinese have done is they have said, you can have your own devolved semi-autonomous government, but we get to choose the candidates that you get to pick from. And the Hong Kong people are rejecting that notion. And who could blame them? Sorry, I'm getting some feedback here. Let me see if I can address that. I think I'm getting some feedback off the YouTube site. Yeah, there we go. I was getting some feedback from the Portland feed. Now, this puts President Trump and the United States in a very peculiar situation. From a moral standpoint, from an ethical standpoint, we want to support the people of Hong Kong. My heart goes out to the people of Hong Kong. My thoughts and prayers are with them. But we're talking about China here. President Trump very recently, very controversially, backed off on his planned his planned economic sanctions, his planned tariffs against China. And coincidentally, the same week that the violence is starting to kick off between the Chinese police and the Hong Kong protesters. And what message does that send? This could be historically viewed as dimly as President Obama's failure to support the Green Rebellion in Iran during the Arab Spring. However, America is in no condition right now to militarily challenge China. So there must be diplomatic means that the president has at his disposal that he can use to try to defuse this situation. But I think what's very, very likely to happen here is that we're all going to have our expressions of our thoughts and prayers being with the people of Hong Kong, but we really don't have any ability to intervene at this point. And I'm not certain that it's even right for us to intervene as a nation, because now, we hear that ISIL is now building a new caliphate inside a Syrian refugee camp, and we have no plan to combat it. Because didn't we win this? It's from the Washington Post, Josh Rogan. ISIL has largely taken over control of a huge camp in northeast Syria, and there's no plan for what to do with the 70,000 people there. The United States and Europe need to address the urgent national security and humanitarian crisis before a new caliphate is established before our very eyes again. President Trump announced 100% of the caliphate had been destroyed, but tens of thousands of ISIL fighters and family members left over were herded into a massive fenced internal displaced persons camp with little aid, security, or supervision. And of course, they began to organize. They organized themselves under the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces, who are under-resourced, understaffed. So basically, it's starting up again. So we have ISIL starting up again. We have China slamming down on Hong Kong. We have our own protesters clashing here in Oregon. Oh, and by the by, my birthday's in 2 days. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Yep, this Monday I'll be 33. And good gracious. Before we wrap things up, did want to tell you to go on to mojo50.com if you need CBD oils. We do have the Ken Brown MD CBD oil that's available there. It's a hemp extract derived from specially bred industrial hemp plants with a high CBD content. The hemp is grown organically. The oil is CO2 extracted. The resultant extract is then added to easy-to-use dropper bottles containing 900 milligrams of CBD oil. It's a wholesome extract, not a synthetic and not an isolate. It contains all the synergistic cannabinoids, terpenoids, essential oils, and other compounds of the original plant. If you're considering CBD, if you have nagging joint discomfort, difficulty sleeping, frequent inflammation, mood swings, gut problems that you're taking Atrantil for, KBMD CBD may deliver real relief. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, at checkout. Promo code MATT for $15 off your purchase. That's on mojo50.com/shop, mojo50.com/shop, and that is KBMD CBD oil. So, folks, do I have time for this? I've got, what? Oh, I've got 2 minutes left. Barely enough time. So, I was going to get to a funny story about a seaside town in Wales that has high-tech anti-sex toilets that will spray you with water if they catch you doing the nasty in the toilet. I will leave a link to that. See, spending £170,000 on futuristic toilets in Griffin Park. Toilets are fitted with a high-pressure floor and wall washer, which can be operated for everyday use. Visitors will have to pay to use the toilets. The weight-sensitive floors detect more than one user. They spray you with water. It will spray occupants with water and sound an alarm if you're inside the toilet doing what you shouldn't be doing in a public toilet. All right, so I know that's a little like schizophrenic, but God, we have so much craziness that is surrounding us right now in this world. You just have to focus on what's good sometimes and what's funny. Keeping an eye on this Antifa clash in Portland. Make sure if you're up there, keep your head on a swivel. You keep yourself safe, no matter where you are, because it's getting to be where it's unsafe to express your views in our country, and that's a terrible thing. I say good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. From Phoenix, I'm Matt Holloway.